director for Toivo by Advocacy Unlimited, who is hosting this event tonight. We are very, very honored to have my dear friend, Jessica Pimentel, who a lot of you probably know as an actress from Orange is the New Black. She is also an incredible musician, a devout Buddhist, and just all around really wonderful woman. I'm going to read you her bio in a minute. But prior to that, I wanted to just speak quickly about Toivo. We had anticipated putting little flyers on the chairs, and I guess there's a fan that was blowing them off. So be prepared as you leave to have them forced upon you by someone, and I suggest you take them. Otherwise, they're going to point you back to me, and then I'm going to make you take it. So I kid, I'm a gentle giant. Toivo is a very, very dear nonprofit organization to my heart and many hearts. It's under the umbrella of Advocacy Unlimited, who does some incredibly important work. But I'm with the Toivo branch, so just to speak quickly to that, what we do at Toivo, we have a physical location at 399 Franklin Ave in Hartford, Connecticut, where we offer all kinds of holistic healing classes, and they're always free. You can donate like $5 if you want, but no one is ever turned away. We offer qigong, tai chi, yoga, drumming, meditation. Some of you that were here earlier heard me playing guitar. I do guitar meditations. What else? We offer so much drumming, meditative coloring, anything. Men's and women's groups, writing group, Hearing Voices Network. What else do we got? What else? Alternatives to suicide. What is it? Dance. So we offer a lot. And again, it's all free. And the beautiful thing is that the people that are there leading these groups are people that have been through the struggle. You know, in our own way, we have gone through what we have gone through, and that's why we're so passionate about the work that we do there. So not only that, we also go into facilities from prisons to psychiatric hospitals to, where else do we go? So many places. Any help there? Treatment center, yes, thank you. Substance abuse, treatment centers. We go to a lot of places. Actually, it's funny, we were talking the other day. Where else do we go, Collie?
No, we go to rehab centers.
Yeah, rehab center. Shelters.
Incarceration centers.
Yeah, I mentioned that. Do we do some schools?
Yep, schools. I've been doing schools, inpatient psychiatric hospitals.
Yep. And so essentially what we do is we bring these holistic healing modalities to people that don't typically have access to them where they're at. And that's a passion of ours. And then the beautiful thing is sometimes when the people finish their time wherever they are, they come find Toivo, and then they come take classes with us. And it's all about community and caring and establishing, you know, that connection with one another. So I really do encourage you when you leave, like I said, they will be handing out the pamphlets. I see them right there. But please take one and really look at like what we offer. There's a lot of wonderful things going on. And aside from just that, occasionally we're able to bring in wonderful speakers like Jessica Pimentel, who is one of the main stars on Orange is the New Black, a hit show on Netflix. So I'm going to read you Jessica's bio, which she emailed me, and I apologize because it's in small writing on my phone, but I'll do my best. Alrighty. Best known for her role of Maria on Netflix's hit series Orange is the New Black, Jessica Pimentel was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Jessica's parents were immigrants from the Dominican Republic. She is a graduate of, I'm sorry, I'm doing my best here, the High School for the Performing Arts, a.k.a. FAME in New York City, and the prestigious American Academy of Dramatic Arts, also in New York City. where she holds a degree in theater arts. She's traveled around the United States, Canada, Europe, and Japan as both a classical violinist and hardcore heavy metal musician, and has played at various notable venues such as CBGB's and Carnegie Hall. And that's actually a friend I remember why they connected Jessica and I in the first place. They're like, whoa, you guys both like metal, you're both into spirituality, you're both passionate about helping serve and help others. So it's super rad that Jessica is one of very few female front women, especially for a metal band. And the name of that band is Alekeen's Gun, and they're amazing. So I highly recommend you check them out if you like metal. If not, you won't like it. But I love it. So, and I just jumped ahead because Jessica's a lead vocalist and recording guitarist for the Brooklyn, New York-based heavy metal band Alekeen's Gun, and bassist for New York heavy metal hardcore band Desolate. She is a lover of mathematics and science and has attended teachings with astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson and theoretical physicist Mikio Kaku. But most importantly, she is a Buddhist and has spent the last 24 years of her life studying Tibetan Buddhism philosophy, logic, debate, and meditation in the Gelugpa tradition of the Dalai Lama. She has studied with many prominent Tibetan masters, but was closely trained and taught by the same former abbot of Saramay Monastery, her main guru, H.E. Saramay Khenshir Rinpoche Lobsang Tarchen, to which she dedicates all things. And I think that's it. Thanks from the back corner. Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Pimentel.
Bravo, good job. What a Tibetan in there.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. How are you? This is very awkward for me. This is the first time I'm doing anything like this, doing any type of speaking engagement. I want to thank you all for coming here. It's really an honor to see your beautiful faces here today. And it's a supreme honor to be invited here by Toivo, who is a group that is working to help the well-being of humankind. And they're doing it in really creative and amazing ways. And that's something that we're going to try to discuss, or I'm going to try to talk to you about, how anything in your life can become a way of spirituality. It can become a way to connect with other people. It can become a way to help others, no matter what you do, anything you do, no matter what your profession is, no matter what your spiritual affiliation is, no matter what your goals in life are. If you dedicate your aims to a higher purpose, everything becomes spiritual practice. Everything becomes beautiful. Everything serves sentient beings and humankind, and anything is possible. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. My parents are immigrants from the Dominican Republic, as you heard earlier. And that presented very specific and special obstacles. Excuse me. Being that my mom basically got here when she was a young girl, so she had to learn the language. She was around a new culture that she had never been around. And they had to start over, basically, with nothing. So they went from a very comfortable life in a tropical land paradise over to New York City, beautiful Brooklyn, in the early 70s, which was a very, very rough place to be. Not very pretty, not as, hip and cool as it was then. So my parents had to deal with this whole new environment, and you had to be creative, and you had to be tough, and you had to hustle. And things that were very important to them were making sure that no matter what you did, you had to do it to your fullest. And the way to get us back to where we were back home, so to speak, was to put all your drive and your energy into your education, and into your passions. When I was about 2 years old, my mom was at her office, and the cleaning lady was cleaning out the office of someone who had left. And they found a little teeny tiny violin, and they said, well, don't you have a little daughter? This would be a perfect toy for her. And my mom brought it home, and I opened the case, and I started right away, playing with it. And, sometimes you say things are meant to be. There's some kind of karma. There's some kind of destiny that is bigger than you, greater than you. So I was making sounds like killing cat sounds for about a few weeks. And finally we got a knock on the door, next door neighbor. It's like, see, Jesse, I told you, you're making too much noise now. And it's my next door neighbor. And he's a young man named Atman Albanese, who just so happened to be a concert violinist. So he began teaching me, little by little, little things, how to hold the violin properly, how to play it properly, how to tune it. And he would come by once a week, nothing formal, because we couldn't afford to pay him, and he was busy. But he would come by and teach me a little piece and teach me how to put my fingers and so on and so forth. And it would always be my little escape, the violin. And there was a record store around the corner that every week would throw away records that people didn't want. So there was mostly classical records. So I would go to my grandma, Grandma, can I please use the record player? Don't scratch it. Okay. Be careful with the needle, she would say. So I would put the record on and listen with headphones and then try to imagine myself playing it, and I would start to play along with it as close as I could at 3 and 4 and 5 for years. And that was my lesson for years because Atman moved away. But I knew just enough how to tune my violin, how to hold it, and how to make it not sound like it was dying. So then it was about 6 years old, 7 years old. My mom had to put me in an after-school program because a lot of single moms, they don't necessarily have the right people to take care of you, or the finances or resources or the energy, or the distance, the car to take care of the kids. So it was really common. A lot of people just put the kids in after-school program. Well, of course, my mom wanted me to do the violin program because I play violin, so that's what she thought. And I'm like, it's so boring. I did it. I was like, it's so boring. It's so boring. I hate it. Because at that point, I felt that I was already, I'd play enough violin. Let me do something different. So I would sneak away to the Girl Scout program across the hall. Well, one day, one of my friend's moms saw that I was in the Girl Scouts and I should have been in the violin, and she told my mom. My mom came down to the school, and I was there being a brownie, trying to sew something, and my mom shows up, and she was very, very upset because she knew how much I loved the violin, and she couldn't understand why I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, the way I was supposed to do it. And I told her, well, because I already know how to play the violin, I said to my mother. She said, no, I don't, let's see, let's play this piece. And they were doing something called Suzuki method, where you don't put actual notes, but you put letters for the string names, A, E, D, and G, and numbers for your fingers, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's a lot like guitar tabs, if anyone plays guitar tabs. So the first one was Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and I rolled my eyes so hard, I think they're still stuck from that day. And I did Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and they said, wow, well, that was pretty good. Let's play the other one. I'm like, A, 1, 1, 3, 2, 2, whatever it was. And this went on, and the pieces got harder and harder. And they said, well, how much more can you play? I said, I can play the Mendelssohn Concerto in E minor. Thank you very much. Which I had taught myself completely by ear. I mean, I don't know if it was very good. But it was kind of, the gist of it from what I knew. And they brought in the head of the person who was sponsoring that after-school program. His name was Clive Lithgow of the Rusa School of Music. And I played my version, my cover, so to speak, my cover version of the Mendelssohn Concerto in E minor for the chairman of that music school. And he gave me a full scholarship to that school. And from that point on, from 6 years old, I started studying every week. I was playing out as a soloist already at 6 and 7. I would go to schools. I would go play at, street fairs, the block party celebrations. I would go do a couple of numbers, And in return, I would get several private lessons a week, and I would also play with people in chamber orchestras and full orchestras. So this opened up a whole new world to me, because now I have responsibility. I have to keep my scholarship. I have to also practice. I'm giving a task every week, and I have to follow through with that task. And this is part of life, We're given things that we maybe are not sure we want to do, things that we're not sure we love, things that seem hard, things are overwhelming, or a deadline. But I learned that this is how things work. This is how you get better. This is how life is. You're set out, a challenge is set before you, and you rise to meet it. And continue. Not only that, but then I started meeting people all ages. I was playing with people, I wasn't playing with 7 and 9 years old. I was playing with 15 to 50 years old from every country around the world, from all walks of life. I would play, in Brighton Beach with all the old Russian ladies, and then play with, the New York City Youth Orchestra or the Brooklyn Borough-wide Orchestra, and we would travel around, and it was really a wonderful experience, and that helped me see how this one thing, music, crushed all the boundaries. It crushed and destroyed any differences that we saw in each other. Age did not matter. Race did not matter. Gender did not matter. How much money you had in your pocket did not matter. There's only one thing that mattered, and that was creating this beautiful piece of music together. And that was the beginning of seeing how music could be a higher spiritual purpose. There's the one aspect of when you are playing music, you need to develop a high level of concentration so that you can get through this piece, because a lot of times when you're a soloist, you have to memorize very long pieces of music. So you can't be there thinking about your phone bill or, what you're having for lunch later. You have to be in that moment. And that's what makes that moment when you go see live music so very special, because it's something that's happening, and once that note is played, the note is gone. And that is life. Once your notes are played, they disappeared, and all you have left is the memory of that and what you choose to do with it. Before it's played, it does not exist. After it's played, it does not exist anymore. And that's where we are here together in this moment. So there's the concentration that it takes to do that, and working on that, and that can be applied to every single thing you do in life. Be it have a cup of coffee, some tea, taking a shower, walking, being there in that moment, because that moment will be gone. From the moment you breathe in to the moment you breathe out, that is gone. It takes discipline to develop that concentration. And with anything you do, discipline definitely is what's going to help you focus. It's going to help you get to those goals that you want. As I got older, around that 12, 13-year-old, if you have any daughters in the room, if you were ever a teenager, you know what happens around that age. That we all of a sudden get a little bit sassy, and we get a little bit discontent, and we get a little bit bossy, and we are trying to find our freedom, And I heard this music. Someone handed me a record, and they said, well, I know you like classical music, but this is my brother. I know you play classical music, but I know you like rock and roll. I said, yeah, because it's different. I like rock and roll. And he handed me this heavy metal album, and it started off with classical music. It's King Diamond Conspiracy. And it started off with classical music, but then came in these guitars, and they were so powerful and distorted. These drums were going crazy. The man sang like an opera singer, and he was telling this story that scared me so much I couldn't go near my closet for 2 weeks. And I thought, wow, that's really something. That you could do that with just music. That you can scare me from my closet with music. And it was so strong, and it was this energy that I wanted to express through my music, that discontent, that anger, that angst, that there was no way for me to do it. Being a girl in a protective household, I couldn't go out and trash things. I was a good girl. I was going to school. I was getting good grades. I was doing my homework. I was practicing every day. But man, I wanted to scream sometimes, because it gets to be too much. But so here was this music that was doing it for me. So I found this music and I kept digging deeper and digging deeper and digging deeper. And I saw that these songs were not just, they're not angry or anything. They're very deep. They come from a very private place. They come from a place of discontent, a place of sadness and sorrow. But through exploring that sadness, instead of pop culture, which we pretend everything is good all the time, and happy and la la la, let's dance and party, which is a great part of life. It's not always like that, though. So now we have these songs that are speaking to me in a personal way. They're telling the story of my life to me. So then finally I didn't feel so alone. And that's why I got into that music and why I play that music. And now I still continue to play that music. I love it very much. And I use that music as a vehicle to teach meditation. All the lyrics of my band, Alakin's Gun, are all taken from Tibetan meditations, from the Abhidharma Kosha is one book. Shantideva, the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, is another book. They're taken from the Lojong mind trainings, trained to teach compassion and wisdom in other people, in yourself. And personal experience as well. And through the music, we're touching people who come to the venue, people that tend to be attracted to this heavy music, who are people that question. They question society. They question themselves. They feel alone. They feel discouraged. They feel sad. And that's usually who comes to that kind of music. They're not satisfied with the Britney Spears. They're not satisfied with that pop, everything's okay, this is how life goes thing. Excuse me. And so we're taking that audience and we're giving them medicine, so to speak, for the illness. And a lot of the medicine is wisdom and compassion. Compassion for yourself, compassion for others. So that's how, for me, music is a spiritual outlet and a path of awakening, using pain of life. Instead of wallowing in it and using it as a negative force, you can take things that appear to be negative and turn them into a very positive thing. You can turn them into something that drives you to move forward. It drives you to help other people. It drives you to become a better person. I don't know. That's part one. Where are we? It's like 7:05. What time is it? 7:35. I got it. Any questions on that? Might as well do that. Any questions on that, on the music part? I mean, I'm going to take questions at the end if you want to just simmer on that for a while. You can't remember your childhood. Well, this is also something that you'll find. I think later we're going to take a little break at some point. One of the side effects of meditation, which is something. Yeah. Go ahead.
Do you mind?
It's amazing that you remember all of that. I mean, you're throwing out details, and you talk about next door neighbor, and it's just like writing a book, and you remember all of this, and you say you were 2 years old. That's amazing. I mean, just like I said, I can't remember my childhood. I'm 58 years old, and what did I do at 2? I can't remember.
Well, it's funny. It's later after the break, we're going to do a little meditation. That's non-denominational. Nobody freak out. It's not hard. You're not going to be indoctrinated into some kind. One of the side effects is your memory increases. You begin to remember more and more details, more things, and further back. So it's, a lot of people say, oh, why do we meditate? Oh, to relax. No, that's a side effect. So that's one of the side effects of meditation. And I started meditating at a very young age. I started about 5 years old. My mother's a psychologist, and initially the meditations that we did were for relaxation. Before a patient has to go in and tells very traumatic things, the psychologist, psychiatrist will have you relax. So your walls are not up, so you feel comfortable. So it's not reliving trauma, but discussing it. So we used to do these, kind of relaxation tapes together, like take a deep breath. Your right arm is heavy, your left, and I took to it very well. And my mother also practices martial arts, so that's part of her training as well. And I did too. Part 2.
If you don't mind.
I think the reason why now that you mentioned that, I think the reason why I do not remember is because my mom died when I was 7, and I literally think I blocked out a lot of my childhood simply because it was traumatic, and I don't want to remember that.
Absolutely. That is totally natural, totally normal, makes complete sense. Why would you want to remember that? Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely it. Yeah. Anything more with the music? I guess that's good. Oh, one other question over here.
So you said around 12 or 13. I'm sorry, I'm kind of loud. Good.
She said I'm kind of loud. It's good.
Sorry, so when did you said 12 or 13, you started hearing the music and you started, realizing. So when did you actually start to try it?
I started playing guitar first. I thought it was awesome. My mom was in this program. She would with the special patients, and they gave her a budget every month or something to put on a show, and she would buy guitars and instruments for the patients, even if they couldn't play. It was just like for fun. And one day there was a guitar in the house. I'm like, God, I want to play that guitar. I love it. So cool, that sounds so loud. So probably around 14, I tried for the first time playing guitar first, and it came out perfect timing. Oh, I forgot the second half of the story. It came out perfect timing because as I told you earlier, my whole life was dedicated to music. That's what I was going to be. I was an advanced student. I studied math. I studied science. I was a straight A student. I was taking college classes when I was 9 years old. I was very, very, very dedicated, very focused kid. But I thought, because I had been on this strict path of playing the violin, that is what I was going to do, period. I might like other things, and that's all cute, but don't mess up, your road. And I did like the guitar, and I started playing with it, and it was cool for fun, but that's not your road, right? And it came at perfect timing that I got the guitar, because around age 15 and 16, my last time that I played Carnegie Hall, my hands started to hurt very much around 15 years old, 14, 15. I couldn't feel my fingers when I woke up. I couldn't feel my hands when I woke up. I would hit my hand against the wall, which is probably the dumbest thing you could have done, to see if I could get feeling in my hands. And I still, to this day, have lost a lot of feeling in my fingertips because of overuse, because I pushed myself so hard, because of karma, because there was another plan. Who knows what it was? But one day, my hands didn't work. So imagine if you've dedicated your entire childhood up until your teenage, 14, 15, to do this one thing, and now you can't do it. And you never thought of a plan B. You never thought it was just, that's what I was going to be. When you go to sleep, you're going to wake up. Vice versa. So I was in the Performing Arts High School Fame, which I loved very much. It was set up in such a cool way that you would get one half of your day was dedicated to your art, whatever that was, whether it was art, dance, vocal, music, or drama. And they said I could stay, but I had to audition for another talent or I couldn't stay. So I auditioned for drama. And it was very easy to cry because I wanted to stay. And I made it in, and they let me stay, and I started taking theater courses. Not necessarily because I wanted to, because it just happened that way. So I was still able to take music classes and music theory and not have to play. So the theory, studying music notes, studying composition, studying how to write, studying ear, playing by ear, transcription. But then I had this whole other life. Now all of a sudden, I'm not in this strict musical world where things go by 3, by 4. There are notes. There's a formula. There's a way. Now they're like, jump around like a gorilla. You're like, all of a sudden I'm being forced to let go of all this discipline that I had created. Because, when you're in an orchestra, it's a very formal environment. Your conductor walks in, you all stand, you sit, wait till he says you can sit. Concert master sits, then you sit. There's an etiquette to everything you do. Now we're rolling on the floor, barking like dogs and licking imaginary ice cream. And there's a wonderful song in the chorus line about that. Every day for a week, we had to feel the motion down the hill. And she's talking about this girl, Morales, who gets into the school and she has to pretend she's on a bomb sled. And she's like, it's not cold. We're in class. It's like, no, you have to feel the cold. You have to feel the snow. You have to taste that ice cream. She's like, this is not for me. And she leaves. So now I had no other choice because I didn't want to leave. So, boy, I was feeling that cold. I was like, ooh, it's freezing in here. So, but then I had because of this, all of a sudden this pressure of being a concert violinist, being the best in an orchestra is lifted. Because that's not an option anymore. And if you're ever playing an orchestra, you sit according to your level of play. So at any moment, anyone can tap you on the shoulder, anyone can turn to the conductor and say, I challenge Susie for her chair. Okay, what would you like to challenge her on? Oh, well, she messed up, the Brandenburg Concerto, the third movement, the third bar, 18 to 36. She plays it wrong every time. Would you like to play? Yes. Susie, would you like to play first or second? Now this is when you're a kid, 9 years old and a 50-year-old challenges you, or you're 50 years old and a 14-year-old challenges you. Now this is some heavy, this is intense stuff. But every day you just wanted to make sure you kept your chair. And how do you keep your chair? You had to be the best. You had to be the best that you could be all the time. This wasn't a for fun thing. This was serious. I mean, music is beautiful at the end of the day, but keeping your seat requires work. But now I don't have that. Now I have to just enjoy music for music's sake. Now I don't have to worry if one note is out of tune. I don't have to worry if all the notes are out of tune. We're talking like Nirvana time, grunge music time, punk rock. Punk rock, none of the notes are in tune in punk rock. If you can even tell what they are. Now it's music for the joy, for the love of playing music, and you can do it however you want, as loud as you want, as fast as you. Nobody's telling you to slow down. Nobody's telling you to speed up. No one's telling you that this is the right way to do it, this is the wrong way to do it. You just do it. So that was kind of a beautiful gift. So now you get this chance to express yourself however you want, and that's happened right after I got that guitar. So now I could just use that instrument. And I could use that distortion pedal if my fingers weren't working right. I could use, other things. I could turn the volume up as loud as I wanted, louder than I could ever play on a violin, and make my eyelashes shake if I wanted to, And it was such a liberating thing. And then being in those drama classes where you're forced to let go of your personality, of who you think you are. Whether you think you're of a certain class or a certain stature, you have to let that go. Whether that you think you're up here and you'll never be here, or if you think you're here and you have to be up here for a show. Now you realize that we're just people at the end of the day, right? So in order to play a character, you have to strip all of your ideas of yourself off and put on someone else's skin, their mind, their thoughts. You have to become someone else. And that was another beginning of a spiritual practice. There's a bodhisattva practice called exchanging oneself with others, where basically you learn to look out of someone else's eyes, see things through everyone else's eyes. And no matter if you're rich, poor, black, white, gay, straight, American, European, whatever you think you are is irrelevant. Because not everyone sees you the way you see yourself. These are your ideas that you've put on yourself. And when you get rid of all these ideas that you put on yourself, and you get rid of the ideas that you put on other people, we're left with one basic thing. We all want to be happy. Everyone in this room wants to be happy. And we want this so much that it's millisecond to millisecond situation, from moving your foot from here to there, is because your foot is not comfortable here, so you move it there. Then you're going to sit back in your seat, and you're a little cold, and your ear hurts, and, oh, this bracelet bothers me here. Every single thing you do is to try to make yourself happier than the moment before. So if you start applying that to your daily life of how you see other people, then your mind starts to change about their behavior. This might be a place where maybe we can stop. 7:48? You want to take a little bit? Yeah. Well, wait.
Huh?
I don't know. Yeah, so I use my character development as a form of spiritual practice, because I have to let go of the ideas that I think of myself. I have to let go of the ideas that I have of my character, and I have to walk literally in someone else's shoes. So that's the first part for me personally. The second part of the wonderful thing of being an actor is that you tell stories that touch people's lives. And you get them in the privacy of their own homes, and they start to make them think about situations and people that they have never thought of before. I mean, I never thought about what it must be like to be a pregnant woman in jail. I don't know if many people do. But that adds a whole level of studying suffering. It's really, really intense. And it's been a blessing to be on this show, because now people are not seeing prisoners as numbers. They're not seeing prisoners as demographics and liabilities and where can we cut corners for dollars, for money. They're seeing these characters now that they know and they love and they wept over and they've laughed with. And I feel like it's such an important thing that we have to constantly put faces and names to these problems. You know, problems like war-torn countries that we may not know anyone from there. But if we start putting names and faces, we can do that ourselves at home. We don't have to actually meet anyone. You don't have to watch a show. You just remember that at the end of the day, we're all the same, no matter where you are. And as an acting exercise, you always say, you say the magic if, what if? You play you in a different circumstance. So if you ever wonder what it's like, you don't have to give up your home and run from your country to wonder what it's like to be a refugee. Just picture if someone just kicked you out of your home. What would you do? How would you feel? And that's a daily exercise that I do while watching the news, is developing compassion. And that's the main practice in our lineage of Buddhism, the Gelugpa tradition, which is the tradition of the Dalai Lama, is compassion and wisdom. So maybe there we'll take a break, because then we're going to do a little compassioning, wisdoming together.
Can dig it. Do you want to do one question and then
we'll
take
one more
the break?
Of course.
Yeah, I'll bring the mic up. But we'll take, after this question, a quick 10-minute break and then come back.
Did playing a role like that change your perspective on things, like your personal,
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought about what it would be like to have a baby in jail and have it taken away from you immediately. That's not something I ever thought about. I never thought about, what if you were pregnant and you got arrested? What happens to you? What happens to you is when it's time for you to give birth, they strap you to a bed. And you give birth, and in most cases, the baby gets taken away from you immediately after. Wow. Some people don't even get to hold their children. And if there's no family member available, some people never get to see their children. So now you've just gone through that pain, having that baby in you all that time, going through the delivery, and then they send you right back the next day. If the next day. I mean, some prisons you can visit the children, some prisons it's not one straight answer, but I mean, can you imagine that much suffering and then having to live like everything's okay? Well, it's not going to be okay, but having to get through now your jail sentence, wondering if you'll ever see your child again.
Oh, that's sad. Thank you.
Sad. Yeah.
All right, so it is.
More, Chris? One more question?
Oh, yeah. You're on a roll. Let's do
Might
it.
as well. Yeah, let's do it. Before people get shy again.
What is it about the what if game that you mentioned before? Some people are able to do it, and some people just aren't able to see themselves in other people's lives or shoes. On a large kind of cosmic picture, why do you think that is? Is it personal? Is it social? Is it?
And I don't know exactly why each person can't do it. I mean, some people are just so attached to their values, their belief system, their perception of reality that they have a hard time letting go. They feel if they change their perception, they lose themselves, so to speak, their character. Some people don't want to be compassionate. Some people believe that their hatred is correct. And that's not the case, because everyone is right from their side, right? So then there is no real right, no real wrong. It's all perception.
All right.
On that
Thank
note,
you, Jessica. On that note.
we'll be back in 10.
Yeah, it's 7:53, so like 8:05, we'll take a quick break.
Sounds
if anyone needs
good
the
to me.
bathroom. We'll come back here. So, yeah, 8:05. So Jessica's going to come out. Actually, she already left. She slipped out the back door. I'm just kidding. And now you're going to have meditation with me for the next 45 minutes. I am the spiritual director at Toivo, as I mentioned, so don't worry, you're in good hands. Everybody close your eyes. No, I'm just bullshitting you guys. We are, no, Jessica, and pardon my language, I forgot we have little ones here. I'm very sorry about that. But Jessica is coming back out in a moment. She is going to lead us in roughly a 15-minute meditation, which is called Tonglen. It is rooted in the Buddhist tradition, but as she mentioned before, there's nothing inherently Buddhist about it. So please don't be opposed or turned off by it if you have a particular faith that does not coincide with Buddhism. It's a beautiful practice that benefits literally all beings, regardless of whatever tradition you may or may not adhere to. After that, we're going to have a couple of people with microphones for questions. So we'll have roughly 30 to 45 minutes, give or take, for questions. And then at 9 o'clock, we're going to end the session so that way, because we have to leave here at 9:30. But from 9 to 9:30, those of you that want to get your picture with Jessica will be able to. I just ask that if there's a lot of you, we just try to move that line along. And there's a couple of bouncers here that can make that happen if need be. But anyways, with all that said, please help me welcome back to the stage Jessica Pimentel.
Did you enjoy your break, everyone? My name is Jessica, and I'm a Buddhist. As Chris said, I was part of why I wanted to be here, and part of why this is so meaningful to me is that Toivo Center has these wonderful methods of helping people with their general wellness, their well-being, mental and spiritual, that all problems are not just one thing, it's a combination of things. And there's a wonderful Buddhist practice called Tonglen, and it's called the practice of taking and giving. It's kind of like prayer on steroids. It's not just sending out a thought, but it's actually visualizing it happening. This comes from the Gelugpa tradition, and it was brought to Tibet by Atisha. His years 900, so first century. And they were made popular in the 10th and 11th century. And this practice is part of what is called the Lojong training of the mind. And what are we training our minds to do? We're training our minds to develop compassion, to increase patience, generosity, concentration, fortitude, giving, and morality. These are practices, and for example, there are kind of buzzwords, buzz phrases that kind of always run in your mind. For example, one is, throughout the day, may I always watch my mind to see if any thought to see if any negative thought arise. And if it does, may I quickly cut it out with force, because that is the root of all of my suffering. So part of your day all day is when you start to say, I don't like, you stop yourself. When you're about to say something negative about someone, you stop yourself. And you train your mind. You know, they say, if you can't, nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. So there'll be a point where you will stop yourself from saying it. Then there'll be a point where you'll stop yourself from thinking it. And then you won't have those negative thoughts, because those negative thoughts are what eventually is like poisoning your mind. Negativity. I can't. That's a negative thought. Looking for bad things in a situation. That's a negative thought, instead of looking for the positive things of the situation. Looking for bad things in people instead of looking for good things in people, or how you can help people. That's the positive. So with these Lojong mind trainings, your mind starts to change. It starts to soften, and it starts to brighten. Now, one of these practices is, like I said, called Tonglen. First, I can talk you through it, or we can do it. I don't know which you would prefer. Or I can explain it, and then we can do it. I'll explain it. This practice is done, it can be done in 3 different levels. The first is for yourself. For example, I'll use the example of sickness for all 3 levels. Let us say that you are sick. You visualize the sickness in your body, and you breathe it in as black smoke. You remove that sickness, you destroy it, and you send out healing. So let's say you've hurt your knee, for example. You see that pain, and you draw in that pain, destroy it in your heart. It implodes, does not exist anymore. Then you give yourself relief. You send yourself relief in the form of a white light, or anything that you find very pleasing or soothing. So that's the first level, just for yourself. Then there's a second level that you start to use it to develop compassion for other beings. And that's saying, oh, my knee hurts. You know what? There are probably other people whose knees hurt out there. Let me use this pain that I'm suffering so that no one else has to go through this. I hope that no one goes through this. And you picture yourself and others who are going through this suffering, and giving yourself relief. And the third is an outward, an altruistic sense. You picture anyone in the world, all beings in the world with any physical suffering, and you draw in that physical suffering. It becomes destroyed because your intentions are pure, and then you send out that healing energy. So you can do this for yourself. You can do this so that you can learn from other beings. Or you can do this for all beings. You could do it for a country. You could do it for a world. You could do it for the universe. You could do it for all beings that have ever existed in time. So those are the different levels. And what it does is it creates it helps drop the barrier between you and others, so that you see more and more that we are all the same, we are all one, we are all connected. And if you are ill, it does reduce the pain, the stress of your illness, of your circumstances. When you start thinking about other people, things are not as heavy, things are not as urgent, things are not as intense, because you always feel, I'm the only one. I feel alone. I feel this is insurmountable, but you are not the only one. Anything you're going through, hundreds and thousands, millions of people are going through, or have been through before, and are going through right now. So this is kind of a way to spiritually, metaphysically connect with all those people and send them relief, send them light, send them hope, even from your heart. And when you do this practice, picture it, believe it to be true, picture it to work. It will work. It works. So if everyone would like to try, anyone would like to try with me, you don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to do anything fancy. This practice is also really great because you can do it walking down the street. Let's say you pass someone who's homeless or hungry. You can do this very quickly on your breath. It all goes from the breath. So we start quickly with just one nice slow breath in, one nice slow breath out. And again, deep breath in and out. And one more deep breath in and out. And so many times we feel so helpless in the world that we have nothing to do. We have nowhere to make things happen. We feel like we're powerless. But here we have this amazing gift of breath. How many millions of times do you breathe in a day? So now you're going to take this function that you do millions and millions of times, and you're going to give something that we barely think about purpose and meaning. Each breath that you do is going to be to serve others, to heal, to bring joy. So think about whatever affliction it may be, whether it's sickness, homelessness, poverty, anger, depression, addiction, and whether it's one person or the whole world, get a picture of that person, that world, that ailment in your mind. If it's a person, you can say their name. And think about that suffering. And now you picture that suffering as black smoke. And with the in-breath, you draw that black smoke into your heart. And with your love, you destroy that black smoke. And on the out-breath, you let out the remedy for whatever that ailment is. So if it's hunger, you picture that hunger as a black smoke coming in, and on the out-breath, you picture it as food, water, nourishment. If it's fear, you draw in that fear, destroy that fear, and send refuge and relief and peace. And if it's war, breathe in the war and let out the light of peace. Become the light. Give the light. And when you feel that you've really made a connection, a dent in getting rid of that suffering, that pain, you dedicate that merit so that all beings may have happiness, so that all beings may be free of suffering. May they never be separated from happiness without suffering. And may they never be conflicted with attachment or aversion. May all beings be equal. And know when you open your eyes that it worked. Good job, everybody. See, that didn't hurt so bad, right? Is that good? How do you feel? You feel all right? Awesome? Easy, right? Not that hard. Not that hard. Non-denominational. No. You can do it for your body. If you're in pain, you can do it just for yourself. It does help ease pain a lot. But I find that it helps more if you try to do it for other people, because then it lessens your pain, because a lot of our physical pain is exacerbated by our mental condition. It makes it worse. So when you take your I, the selfish, we call it, in your heart is that the self-cherishing I, me, important, me. When you lessen that, then you find somehow a way to deal with suffering and hard times. Anyone have any questions on what we did just now? Do you feel funny? Do you feel relaxed? You feel relaxed? You feel the room is quieter?
I just have a comment on what you were saying about giving for other people and it taking away.
There's a microphone coming your way.
I'm surprised I actually need this. Okay. So thank you very much. What you just explained reminds me of the expression about when you hold on to things too tightly, your hands aren't open to give or receive. And so I definitely feel that it's empowering others and yourself by thinking outside of yourself. So thank you.
Absolutely.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. This was great.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I recently started practicing meditation in the last, maybe year and a half. And what I have found is that it centers you, like I do it first thing in the morning, and I get up very early, 4:30 or 5, naturally. But it centers you for the day to be able to stay focused, to have clarity, and to be reminded of it's not about you. Yeah. And so what you're saying is just reinforcing everything that I've been learning about it. And I'm kind of a high-strung person, and people have noticed that about me and said, Marilyn, there's like something different about you. And it feels so good because I'm not it's that rat race of what do I have to get done today.
Right, the hustle.
And that's starting to dissipate. That's going away with the practice of meditation. And then the other thing is I never expected that this was going to happen tonight when I came out here.
Surprise!
Yes. When I came out here to see you speak. But one of the gifts that I always know about this experience is that everybody here in this room, we're all connected now. And now we have shared a gift together. And that brings this sense of community. It breaks the barriers. It doesn't matter who you are in this room. It doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, anything, that you get to this space where you're so grateful for your existence. And that gift is what you're giving us here this evening, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you.
So just to let everybody know, it's 8:30, so we're going to do...
Yeah, you can ask anything you
That's
want
what I was
now.
gonna say.
Now it doesn't have to be spiritual, it doesn't have to be all deep. You can ask anything.
Jessica's
This lady
up to speak
here,
about whatever.
anything you want. Well, within reason, guys.
First of all, Jessica, thank you very much for the meditation. I can go out and it's not easy to come back.
Awesome.
Because I want to stay out there, but that was a wonderful meditation.
And I'm glad.
I do have a question, but before I say the question, my son Alex said, Mommy, make sure you tell her that I really like her, but I couldn't make her to see her tonight.
Oh,
okay,
thank you.
I'm doing it for him, but
okay,
the
for
question
Alex.
for
Hi, Alex.
Alec.
Alec.
Yeah. And the question actually is, I've been wondering since you sat in there, how did you make it to Orange is the New Black? The story, because you're really good with the stories. So if you can tell us a little bit, that would be great.
Yeah, the story. I told you that I all of a sudden went to the drama side of the high school. So you know me, I'm not a big risk taker. So I'm like, well, this is the road I'm on now. Let's see where it goes. And I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. I auditioned for that. It's a conservatory, Juilliard level. If you know Juilliard, the Royal Academy, it's a prestigious school, very small, professional level conservatory. And I studied there, and I went out into the world, and I did what we do. You audition, you get it, you play a ballerina one day. For one day, you get a commercial. You're like, orange juice is fantastic, and we go through that. And then you get, roles, you're going for these big movies, and then it's a no. And they're like, it's between you and Jennifer Lopez. You're like, I'm never going to get it. It's like, it goes and it's ups and downs and ups and downs. And if you're in New York, you're famous, you get Law and Order. So I've been on Law and Order many, many, many times. I've been on all 3 Law and Orders. I did All My Children right out of high school. I did a few shows, and then little parts in movies, and then I got to do some touring companies, some theater, some off-Broadway, beautiful stuff. And then as your career progresses, you move kind of up in the audition level. And I'd auditioned for Jen Houston, who was the casting agent of Orange is the New Black for many years, over many projects, many times. But at this point, I wasn't really booking a lot, and I was kind of sick of being a bartender, and I was sick of the instability of it. I wanted a secure life, I think, and bring some kind of stability to my future plans, because I didn't know if I wanted to be doing this all the time. And then it was something really cool. I got called in for this major show that I love and I watch, and they called me back, and I was like, but then they called me back again the next week, and I was like, whoa, 2 callbacks for the same thing. And the room is smaller and smaller. And this is happening in about August, And this is with an actress I totally love. Just the fact that I got the audition made me cry. Like, oh, and then they called me back. This was not Orange, by the way. This was another show on the network. I had been auditioning for this show, though. During that same time period, my manager described it as the prison show on the computer. We didn't know anything about it other than Jen was casting it, and Genji had written it, and it wasn't even on TV. It was on the computer. And you're in jail. And all I ever play are hookers. So I'm feeling like I'm not feeling this, but I'm going to be a hooker. I'm going to be a drug dealer's girlfriend, which I turned out to be. But, it was kind of like I was so sick of the stereotype, but then here was this role that I was going in. And she had a profession I'm not trying not to give it away. She had a profession. She had a skill. She had money. She could read. She was not in jail. She took care of her. It was like the dream character. And it was the 3rd callback. And the room is filled with women again. And my heart just broke. Because they looked nothing like me. It was a completely different crowd, and they're all going for the same spot. After I saw myself there, I was on that show. I saw myself on the screen, and it was like heartbreaking at that very moment. Because I had been working for weeks on this character. She was becoming real to me. I had hoped that this was the big break. Finally, my mom could be proud. I could buy her a car. I could pay the electric bill. The dream was coming true finally, and then to have that happen in a second, one day you realize, no, there are no guarantees. And then you put that dedication in, and then you start to think that maybe there's something wrong with you. Maybe I'm not a good actress. Maybe I should give up. Because why so many no's for a yes, and the yes is like something that you're not even like crazy about. It's so many no's. You have to keep going, and it feels like you get beaten down with these no's. And you have to find that strength to persevere and keep doing it, no matter how many times somebody tells you no. And I didn't think I had that strength anymore. So I told my manager I needed a break for the rest of the year, because I don't know, maybe I'm going to be a Buddhist nun. Maybe I'm going to go work for Microsoft. One of those 2 things. I don't know if I can deal with this rejection, disappointment, your hopes high, and then no. No. it hurts after a while. So then we would get instructions, the computer show sent me a breakdown. A breakdown is what the description of the character is. It's called a breakdown. And one of the breakdowns that I went on was character, female, not very pretty, kind of fat, not very smart. And I said, wow, and you call me? Thanks. Like I was taking things personally. They weren't calling me. They're like, that's what we want. Can you do that? And I was thinking like, oh, you think I'm fat and not pretty? Okay, fine. So I was getting upset with every breakdown. So I called my manager and I told her I wanted a break for the rest of the year. And she's like, Jess, I was just about to call you because Jen just called me. Remember that computer show in jail? And I'm like, the one that called me crazy and fat and ugly and old, and like I went in for a few roles. I'm like, every time they send me something, it's like an insult. She said, well, they just made up this character. Jen really wants you to be in the show. They don't know how you're going to fit, but she just knows that you belong on the show. Can you please just go in? And then after this, I promise you it's the last one for the rest of the year. I'm like, fine. It's like tomorrow at 12:30. I was like, can we make it 12 o'clock? Because it's my birthday and Sephora gives me a facial for my birthday and I have to be there by 12:20. That's how much I cared about the audition. I was done. So, okay, 12 o'clock. I'll see if it's okay with her. And she says, the character's name is Maria. I was like, oh, a Latina named Maria. What a shock. Maria is in jail. And she's very pregnant. Great. My mom is going to be so proud. Pregnant Latina Maria in jail. Ay, ay, ay. Let's keep it rolling, shall we? And I'm like, and on the computer, not even on TV. Now I got to get my mom internet. Forget it. And so I do it. That's all they had. It said Maria, very pregnant Latina in jail. That's all. So I had no description at all. We had no idea what Maria was going to be. I walk in the audition at 11:48, waiting for 12, to hit 12 o'clock. Jen's not there. 12:05, 12:10. Oh, my facial from Sephora is gonna pass me. I am not in a good mood. Jen's like, Joe, I'm so sorry. There was traffic, because she comes from. There was traffic. I'm like, yep, let's go. Okay. What do you want me to do? You want me to read the first one? And then Maria just came out. It was 100% attitude. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want the role. I wanted to get out of there as fast as I could. And she's like, Jess, that was so good. And I almost said, you say that every time. And I stopped myself there. Because the next line was, but you never pick me. Was going to be the next thing. But I stopped myself before I said that. I was like, you always say that. Okay, I got to go to Sephora. And then I was like, I'm done. I'm free. She called me the next day, and I started working the end of the week. Yeah, because I felt that this business is built on respect. And this is someone that took their time to believe in me, and they called me many, many times. Because when you're getting these roles, it's not because you're not good, or there are so many things that are out of your control, things that we don't know about. You might be too tall. Maybe the leading man is 5'2" and you're 5'7". It looks funny. Or maybe, they cast the leading man and you guys look like brother and sister. That's not going to work. Or maybe you look like, their next door neighbor that they don't like and they're not really feeling you today. Or maybe they changed the script and they made the girl German last night, which happened to me. And I'm like, what? Why is everyone here blonde? They're like, oh, we forgot to call you. And I was like, but there's so many things that are out of your hands. But as long as you come in with you do the best that you can. You come in knowing that it takes time and respect and effort, and you respect their time. You respect yourself. You do the best you can, even if it's even if it's clearly not for you. Doors will open eventually, because that's what I always did with Jen. Whether the part was for me or not, I was always going to bring my A game to keep her in my mind. And the fact that she called me at all is respect. So respeto, you give what you get,
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
I wanted to bring it back to music, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's.
So I had a question. So I know you talked about getting into metal when you were younger, and you're currently involved in the metal scene. And we know, like, metal, usually we think of men, it's very masculine. Usually America, usually white men. Did you ever encounter any obstacles when you were
Every
younger?
day.
Currently, yeah. And how did you overcome those?
I think maybe the gift of starting music at such a young age and being around such a diverse community of musicians of all ages, races, money, positions, economic backgrounds, set it in my mind that what was important is the music, not the package that is coming out of, for me, music is not a masculine thing or a feminine thing. For me, nothing is a masculine thing or a feminine thing. It's things I want to do, things I don't want to do, and things everybody should know how to do. And that's how I always saw everything. And I feel sorry for guys that feel like they want to, criticize or belittle women in the scene when they're such a powerful force. I say, I came into the world screaming. Why wouldn't I be able to scream just as loud as you? That's, if anything, a woman knows different kinds of pain than men. It comes from a totally different place, bearing life and all that, and our monthly reminder if you did or you didn't. That's pretty intense, and we're really in touch with that. And you have to be strong, and sometimes you laugh it off because they don't know better. And if anyone tries to belittle you, it's usually because they feel threatened. For the most part, if someone sees you or having trouble, they'll either help you or try to hurt you. The people that help you, they're there for the music too, and the people that try to hurt you is because they're intimidated by you. And if they're intimidated by you, if that's even better, can't wait. You're intimidated. I scare you? Really? Does this scare you? Does this make you uncomfortable? And that's what metal is, for us. It's going that place that makes you uncomfortable and meeting it face on, dead on, hard, fast, loud, go.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is also Jessica.
Hi, Jess.
So I just wanted to ask you a question about, when I was younger, I was really bullied a lot, and I've right now, some of my friends that were my friends are kind of bullying me right now too. I had a question about Buddhism, and does that energy thing help to pray or to meditate upon your bullies and the people that are hurting you?
Absolutely. The trainings are Lojong mind training. One of them is, may I see someone who I thought was my friend who belittled me and even tries to hurt me, may I see them as my greatest teacher. Because it's through those people, you'll overcome that pain. It won't hurt you anymore. And then one day you'll see, oh, they're the ones that are really hurting. That's why they're going after you. They see something in themselves and you that they don't like about themselves. Something that they're insecure about, something they don't like, something that hurts them, and that's why it's coming out on you. So when you meditate, and you can write it down, Lojong, 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 8 verses of mind training. These 8 verses really, really just hit home how many times people that we thought were our friends are jealous of us and try to mess us up. And you say, may they have whatever they need. They're like, wow, you had to go do it that way? You could have just told me. Or that's so sad that they felt they had to do this way, the wrong way, when I would have given it to them. Or, that other people, that especially people that are sick or difficult, they are more precious than any jewel, because through them I will find peace. Through those difficult people, that lady that's trying to inching up on you behind in the line, inching up on you behind, and breathing down your neck, I can't make the line move faster. That person that person is important. You let that person go. Go ahead. And then those people start to disappear. It's really weird. You get less and less of them. And then you'll start to even let people go. They're not even rushing. You're like, go ahead. I'm just here. Your mind starts to change when you do these these trainings. So there'll be a point where someone who's a bully, then you actually start to feel super compassion for them, and then they won't hurt you at all. I promise.
Hey.
Hi.
So I'm Dominican. This is my sister. She's Dominican too.
Yes, it's a match.
So I know you from the show, and I was telling my sister that it's funny how we develop these relationships with these characters,
Right.
and we develop feelings for them, and we root for them, or we hate them, or whatever the case may
Yes.
be. So it's really funny to see that there's this like totally different person underneath that character. So that was just a side note.
Oh, thank you.
So when I think of violinists and heavy metal and Buddhism, those are very non-Dominican things to me. Like I think of like my parents would never listen to that music,
Right.
and you know everyone's Catholic, and like
Right.
we're just eating plantains all day long, and like that's it. So. My question to you is, how has your heritage either enhanced or hindered your experiences, your interests, and has that even played a role in you pursuing these paths, heavy metal and this type of art?
That's a great question. I mean, where my parents were born is not who I am. It's part of my culture and upbringing, yes, but for example, the violin, doesn't matter what country you came from to play an instrument. Buddhism came naturally through a progression of a wonderful spiritual upbringing in a Christian household. I love Jesus very much. You know, it's not one or the other thing. And then heavy metal came from growing up in New York City. It's more a product of your environment, what you're exposed to, and how your karma develops. So if I would have been in DR, maybe that wouldn't have worked out that way. Mm-hmm. If I would have been grown up in Minnesota, maybe it would not have worked out that way. It was the ripening of karma is the proper time and conditions to have a seed ripen. So that's my analysis of how this all came about.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, or like where do you want to be in 5 years?
I don't try to project some kind of future for myself. I go with the flow. Hopefully, I hope that I'll still be doing what I love. I'll still be using my passion to reach other people, touch them, change the world in a positive manner, using music or situations like this to teach meditation to other people, tools that help relax people or give them peace and comfort, or doing some awesome film. Or what if I leave it all and, you know, go to a mountain and be a house mom, whatever. I have no desire for anything specific, because you have to let the universe kind of guide you. If you call it hand of God, if you call it karma, you call it instinct, just go with the flow. This lady right there. Okay. 10 minutes?
Hi, I have two questions. What was the show that you were auditioning for that wasn't...
I will not divulge that.
Okay, that's fine. And then the other question I had was, you had mentioned before that you were really good at math and science and things like that, and I'm wondering if your learning about that has influenced your belief in Buddhism and the universe and math.
Absolutely.
And how it's
The Dalai Lama says whenever physics or theoretical physics or astrophysics goes against any of the tantric laws or rules, perceptions or scriptures of physics, will change the books. They match very, very well, very perfectly together. There is a synchronicity between the science, our Western science, and Eastern tantric physics, astrophysics, so on and so forth. There's no disconnect. They do not conflict. Next and final, right? One more.
How's it going? So Orange is the New Black has covered many social issues. The list is including but not limited to Black Lives Matter, police brutality, flaws within the prison systems, including the privatization of prisons, mental health. It goes on and on. But are there any social issues that you want to see covered, or are there any that were introduced that you wish that they would expand upon more?
I think we've hit a lot of the issues. You know, we can only do so much with the show before it gets overly saturated with political messages. So I think in the future we might actually just scale it down so that we focus maybe on one issue at a time. But I think so far it's been wonderful to be a part of this show that has made people think about things that they never thought about before and give some kind of pop culture weight to political issues and human rights. Basic human rights. It's cool to think about that now, and that's amazing. Yeah.
Thanks, Jess.
Oh, wait, can we get one more?
One more?
Yeah, please.
All right, we'll do one more.
One more. Sorry, Lyceum. Don't turn off the lights.
Sorry. What is your view on woman empowerment? You being on the show and all gave you a view of women.
My view of female empowerment, or just
women's rights?
Women's rights. Well, you know, what's the logo? What's the saying?
You were talking about human rights.
Right. Human rights. Women's rights are human rights.
Exactly.
Right.
Like I said, you being on the show, giving you, or you being in jail, giving you that specific eye of what human rights were.
Right, because on the show you see the women have to deal with being treated less than human. They have to fight for basic hygiene needs. You know, they have to fight for food that's good, that's healthy. Fight for the right to see their children. So it brings up a lot of issues that are women's rights issues in prison that don't get addressed the same way in a men's prison.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jess.
That's it, guys.
Yeah, thank you.